By 2030, Australia could become one of the hardest countries to live in, and no one is talking about it. Rents in Sydney have skyrocketed by over 25% in just a year, and some areas are already facing water restrictions during record-breaking heat waves. What if the lucky country is quietly becoming a ticking time bomb, environmentally, economically, and socially? You might think this is an exaggeration, but open your eyes for a moment. Why are thousands of skilled Australians migrating to Southeast Asia, Europe, or even the UAE? What do they know that you don't? This video reveals the 10 urgent reasons why staying in Australia beyond 2030 might not just be uncomfortable. It could be unsustainable, even dangerous. Whether you're a student, worker, or homeowner, these shifts will affect you. And the last reason might shock you the most. So stay till the end. It could change everything. Number 1. Climate extremes are escalating. Australia is no stranger to wild weather, but what's coming next is off the charts. Over the past decade, we've seen bushfires so intense they created their own thunderstorms, floods that swallowed entire suburbs, and heat waves that melted roads. But this isn't just freak weather anymore. It's the new normal, and it's only getting worse. Scientists from the CSIRO and the Bureau of Meteorology have warned that Australia is warming faster than the global average. That means longer droughts, hotter summers, and more violent natural disasters. Imagine this. You're living in a city where summers hit 50 degrees Celsius, where bushfires break out near urban areas, and where insurance premiums become unaffordable because your suburb is now a climate risk zone. This isn't some future sci-fi movie. It's already begun. Just look at Lismore, a town that's been hit with back-to-back once-in-a-century floods in the span of a single year. Entire communities are being displaced. Coastal homes are falling into the ocean. And by 2030, large parts of Australia may become practically unlivable for the average family. So ask yourself this: can you really afford to ignore the signs? When nature turns hostile, even the strongest economy or the best healthcare system can't protect you. And while governments talk about solutions, the pace of change is outpacing the response. If you want to protect your future, the time to think seriously is now, before the climate decides for you. Number 2. The cost of living crisis is crushing Australians. You've probably felt it, not just in your wallet, but in your daily life. Australia's cost of living has exploded, and there's no sign of relief. Whether it's rent, fuel, groceries, or electricity, everything is rising faster than your income. In cities like Sydney and Melbourne, families are now spending over 50% of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. And it's not just big cities. Regional towns, once considered affordable safe havens, are also catching up with shocking speed. Basic necessities like milk, eggs, and bread have jumped by 20 to 30% in the past year alone in some areas. Utility bills? Through the roof. Petrol? You're lucky if you find anything under $2 per litre. Meanwhile, wages have barely moved, leaving the average person feeling like they're sprinting on a treadmill, getting nowhere fast. This kind of financial pressure doesn't just hurt your bank account. It destroys mental health, breaks families, and kills opportunity. Young Australians are now delaying or abandoning dreams of home ownership, starting a family, or travelling abroad, simply because surviving each month feels like a victory. And here's the scary part. It's not a temporary bump. Experts say these prices are part of a new economic reality, driven by global instability, supply chain shocks, and internal policy failures. The question is, can the average Australian survive this storm through to 2030? Or will leaving be the only path to financial peace? Number 3. The housing affordability collapse. If you're still dreaming of owning a home in Australia, it might be time to wake up or look overseas. Housing affordability in Australia has collapsed, and it's not just a crisis. It's a generational lockout. In cities like Sydney, the median house price now exceeds $1.5 million, while in Melbourne, it's pushing past $1 million. Even smaller towns aren't safe anymore, with regional prices jumping by 30 to 50% in just a few years. The sad truth? For most Aussies, saving for a deposit now takes over a decade, and that's assuming rent doesn't wipe out your savings in the meantime. In fact, renting has become just as brutal. With vacancy rates at record lows, bidding wars for rentals have become the new norm. It's not unusual to see dozens of people lining up just for a 10-minute inspection. This isn't just about housing, it's about freedom. When people can't afford to live near their jobs, they're forced into long, stressful commutes. When young people can't afford to buy, they're stuck in cycles of insecurity and debt. And when investors dominate the market, communities hollow out, turning vibrant suburbs into short-stay ghost towns. Worse, housing policy is so tangled in politics and profit that meaningful reform feels years away, if ever. And while prices may cool temporarily, the core issue remains: demand is too high and supply is too slow. So the question is, how long can you wait for things to change? Or is it smarter to start looking beyond Australia's borders before you're priced out for good?
Number 4, job market shifts and AI displacement. The jobs that built the Australian middle class are quietly disappearing, and no one is ready for what's coming. By 2030, over 2.7 million jobs in Australia could be at risk of automation, according to reports from the OECD and CSIRO. We're not talking about some distant future. It's already happening. Bank branches are closing. Self-checkout machines are replacing retail staff. Virtual assistants are cutting into admin and customer service roles. Even fields like law, journalism, and accounting are starting to feel the impact of AI tools that can work faster, cheaper, and without sleep. And let's not forget remote outsourcing. Employers are increasingly hiring overseas talent at a fraction of the cost. For many Australians, the threat isn't losing a job. It's not being able to find one that pays enough to live. Entry-level positions are vanishing. Middle-skill jobs are shrinking. And high-skill roles demand years of experience and constant upskilling just to stay relevant. Sound exhausting? It is. The scary part: education isn't keeping up. Graduates are entering the workforce with thousands in debt and degrees that are already outdated. Meanwhile, gig economy platforms offer flexibility, but with no security, no benefits, and unstable income. By 2030, we could see a brutal divide: those who adapt to AI and those left behind by it. So ask yourself, is your job safe? Or will your skills be replaced, outsourced, or made obsolete in the blink of an algorithm?
Number 5. Diminishing healthcare access. Australia once prided itself on a world-class healthcare system, but that reputation is starting to crack fast. In 2025, a GP appointment might take you 3 weeks. By 2030, you could be waiting months, especially if you live outside a major city. And if you're in a rural area, you may not even have a local doctor at all. Hospitals are under pressure like never before. Staff shortages, rising patient numbers, and underfunded facilities have led to overflowing emergency rooms, record surgery wait lists, and even ambulance delays where lives are literally hanging in the balance. According to the Australian Medical Association, the system is at a tipping point, and it's only getting worse. What's causing it? A mix of an aging population, burnout in the medical workforce, and increasing privatisation, where care goes to the highest bidder. And yes, that means more out-of-pocket expenses, even for basic treatments. It's not just about getting treatment, it's about whether you can afford it in time. For many families, healthcare in Australia is becoming a luxury, not a right. So before you assume, "I'll be fine," ask yourself, what happens when you can't access help? When care is delayed not by hours, but by months? That's not just dangerous, it's life-altering. We put our heart into bringing you eye-opening content like this. So tell us, which reason hit you the hardest? And if you found this valuable, one click to subscribe means the world to us and helps us keep creating. Number 6, educational decline and brain drain. For a nation that once celebrated its top-tier universities, Australia's education system is quietly slipping, and it's costing us our future. International rankings show a steady decline in performance across course subjects like math, reading, and science. But the bigger issue? Even a top degree no longer guarantees opportunity. Students are graduating with tens of thousands in debt, only to enter a job market that's overcrowded, underpaid, and rapidly changing. The result? A growing wave of young talent leaving Australia, seeking better education, better prospects, and better lives in countries like Germany, Canada, and Singapore. This isn't just a few individuals, it's a brain drain, and it's accelerating. Meanwhile, universities have become more focused on profit than purpose. International student fees now dominate budgets. Local students, they're being squeezed out, undersupported, and overburdened. Even public schools are feeling the pressure, with underfunded classrooms, burnt-out teachers, and widening gaps between high-income and low-income areas. This is about more than just academics. It's about a generation that feels disillusioned, trapped, and unheard. A country that once promised, work hard and you'll succeed, is now delivering anxiety, burnout, and stagnation. And if the brightest minds are choosing to build their futures elsewhere, what does that say about where Australia is heading? So here's the real question. Can a country thrive when it fails its own future leaders? Or will 2030 mark the point when Australia's talent and hope finally walks out the door?
Number 7. Water crisis looming. Imagine turning on your tap and nothing comes out. Sounds dramatic? It's already becoming reality in parts of Australia. And by 2030, water scarcity could hit millions more. Despite being the driest inhabited continent on Earth, Australia continues to overuse, mismanage, and underinvest in one of its most precious resources, water. Major river systems like the Murray-Darling Basin are drying up due to over-extraction, climate change, and government inaction. Some regional communities are trucking in drinking water, while others face restrictions that ban watering gardens or even washing cars. It's not just inconvenient, it's a sign of a deeper crisis that could disrupt agriculture, cities, and daily life. Australia's growing population, combined with longer droughts and rising temperatures, is pushing demand far beyond sustainable supply. And while desalination plants offer a partial solution, they're energy-intensive, expensive, and limited in reach. Meanwhile, policy battles and corporate lobbying continue to delay real reform. Ask yourself, how secure is your water source? What happens when a heat wave hits and your local reservoir runs dry? When food prices spike because farmers can't irrigate crops? When insurance doesn't cover climate-related shortages? This isn't science fiction, it's science fact. And while cities fight to stay hydrated, the question remains, will you be one of the lucky ones with access, or one of the millions left to ration?
Number 8. Erosion of civil liberties. Australia, often seen as a beacon of freedom, is slowly tightening its grip on personal rights. Behind the sunny beaches and laid-back image, there's a growing concern. Your freedoms are quietly being eroded. And by 2030, we may look back and wonder how we let it happen. In the name of security and public safety, new laws have increased surveillance, censorship, and state power. From facial recognition in public spaces to metadata retention laws, the government now collects more personal information than ever before, often without warrants or clear oversight. Protesters are being arrested under vague public disturbance rules. Journalists have faced raids for simply reporting the truth. Sound like something from a dystopian novel? It's happening right now. Even digital spaces aren't safe. Algorithms monitor behavior, flag dissent, and limit free speech under the banner of misinformation. These tools, once aimed at stopping crime or extremism, are now being used to control narrative and silence opposition. And with the rise of AI and predictive policing, The boundaries of privacy are disappearing faster than you think. What makes this even more dangerous is how quiet and subtle the shift has been. No alarms, no headlines, just small legal changes that stack up over time. And if we wait until 2030 to notice, it might be too late to roll them back. Ask yourself, are you comfortable living in a place where watching what you say, online or in person, becomes second nature? Because that future may already be here.
Number 9. Global isolation is growing. Australia may be surrounded by oceans, but by 2030, it risks being isolated in more ways than geography. As global alliances shift and trade routes evolve, the country is increasingly seen as a remote outlier, politically, economically, and even culturally. And this quiet drift into global isolation could have devastating consequences. In recent years, tensions with major trading partners, especially China, Australia's largest export destination, have led to sanctions, tariffs, and diplomatic standoffs. Industries like wine, beef, coal, and education have all been caught in the crossfire. Meanwhile, Australia's heavy dependence on exports leaves it vulnerable to any global shift. If trade slows or partners look elsewhere, the ripple effect could crash entire sectors. But it's not just trade. Immigration policies have tightened, international perception is cooling, and many countries now offer better paths for skilled workers and students. Where Australia once stood as a dream destination, it's now being bypassed for more connected, inclusive, and forward-thinking nations. Travel too could become harder, with rising costs, limited global mobility, and fluctuating visa agreements. For Australians wanting to live, work, or study abroad, doors are closing that were once wide open. So here's the harsh truth. The world is moving fast, and Australia may not be keeping up. If the country turns inward while the rest of the world collaborates outward, you could find yourself cut off professionally, culturally, and financially.
Number 10. Economic dependence on fragile sectors. Australia's economy might look solid on the surface, but underneath, it's worryingly fragile, built on just a handful of volatile pillars. By 2030, this house of cards could come crashing down, and the fallout would hit every Aussie household. 3 sectors keep the engine running: mining, real estate, and international education. But each of these is deeply exposed to global shifts. If China reduces demand for iron ore, if international students turn to Canada or Europe, or if the property bubble finally bursts, the impact won't be gradual. It will be sudden and severe. Think job losses, housing crashes, and a shrinking economy that can't bounce back quickly. And here's the scary part. These sectors are not only fragile, they've also crowded out innovation. While other countries invest in clean tech, AI, manufacturing, and digital infrastructure, Australia has fallen behind, clinging to past glories instead of preparing for future challenges. When disruption hits, and it will, we'll have no strong secondary industries to catch the fall. We're also dangerously over-leveraged. Household debt in Australia is among the highest in the world. So when the economy shakes, the average person feels it immediately, through rising interest rates, job insecurity, and tighter credit. The bottom line? Australia is riding on momentum, not strategy. And when the wind changes direction, those who don't adapt or escape in time could lose everything. So, will you be ready?
So there you have it. 10 powerful reasons why staying in Australia beyond 2030 might not be the safe bet it once was. From climate chaos and crushing costs to vanishing freedoms and an uncertain economic future, the signs are everywhere. And yet, most people continue on autopilot, hoping things will go back to normal. But what if this is the new normal? This isn't fear-mongering. It's about being aware, prepared, and proactive. Australia is still a beautiful country with incredible people, but we can't ignore the growing cracks. Whether you choose to stay, leave, or simply rethink your future, the key is to make that decision with your eyes wide open, not when it's too late. If this video opened your mind even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Let's start the conversation that nobody else is having.